Hey guys, so today I wanted to make a video to show you how to change the LCD screen in the iPhone 6 Plus. So the easiest way that I've found to open this phone up is to get a suction pry tool like this. It's just a little pry tool and it works so much better than using the other ones and just using suction cups on the front. Like these ones here, you can use these kind of like this, but I found it so much easier to use an actual tool like this. So the other thing we're going to be using is a little screwdriver, a Torx size 0, and also we're going to be using a Phillips screwdriver size 000. And I wanted to show you these, and I'll include links in the video description where you can find these tools if you're interested to work on this phone and to do this repair, and any parts that I'll be using during this repair, I'll include links in the video description for those as well, to be sure to check them out. So first, what you're going to want to do is power down your phone, make sure it's turned off, and then at the bottom right here there's 2 screws, and they're for the Torx that I was talking about, the size 0, and you're going to want to remove these 2 screws right here. So next, what you're going to want to do is take this pry tool and attach it as close to the home button as possible. If you have broken glass on here, what you can do is just put a piece of tape over it, and that'll take care of that, and then that'll have something to adhere to. And then so what you're going to want to do is just pry up a little bit. As you can see, I got it started already. And then what I would recommend is, mine was a little bit stubborn, so if you go right in here and just carefully, I had a little plastic pry tool and just carefully pry it up here a little bit, then it started coming right apart. So next, what we're going to want to do is remove this suction cup tool. It's really easy to remove. Then we're going to want to pry up. I'll show you down in here. The next thing we're going to want to do, if you can see okay, is remove these 5 screws right here off this plate, and you're going to need the little Phillips screwdriver, and just make sure to keep them in the same order so you know which order they came off. So next, now that this connector is loose here, this plate, you can just grab it. I'm just going to use tweezers so you can see what I'm doing easily enough. And you just want to set that aside, and then I would recommend having a plastic pry tool so it for sure doesn't short anything out. And get under this connector right here, pry this connector up, and go ahead and pry this other connector up right there. And then if you lift these up, there's a 3rd connector right there. Underneath that, there's a 4th connector. So once you get all 4 of those connectors loose, as you can see there, then the whole screen comes apart, just like that. So next, using your Phillips screwdriver, you're going to need to remove 3 screws on this side and 3 screws on this side right here. And then those are all the same size, so it doesn't matter if you get them mixed up, but keep them in a pile separately. And then you're going to need to remove a Phillips screw here and here on the bottom. And then you're going to need to remove one up top here as well. I already removed these, but I wanted to show you. And then there's this bracket for the home button. You're going to need to actually remove that as well, so there's going to be a 3rd one here. So now all these screws for the top and the bottom are the same size, so you don't have to worry about mixing them up either. Just keep them in a separate pile. So next, we're going to want to go ahead and remove this little plate. So I'm just going to use my tweezers to pick up here so you can see. And we're going to need, you have to watch this little connector here. It slips out from under these other ones. Then you can pick up, and then don't lift too hard, because down here there's a little connector that the home button is connected to. And what you have to do is, once this home button is disconnected, you have to try to carefully get under this little piece here and pry up on it. It just has adhesive on it, and then it comes right off. So I wanted to show you here a little closer. This is the back side of it. As you can see, it's right there, and it just has adhesive on it, and it's just sticking right down there, and it's what the home button connects into. So I wanted to just show you that that is a place where you want to be careful. Next, you want to go ahead and remove these 3 screws up here, and just be careful. Keep them separate and in the right order. After you've removed those 3 screws, just go ahead and lift this shield off here. Set it aside. Then we can grab the earpiece speaker out of here and set that aside. So next, we're going to want to pry up carefully. You can just pull this up with your finger, the front camera, and then just be careful. This whole part here
can get pried up really carefully. It just has adhesive under it, and that has the different sensors and stuff. And then if you follow this little part right back here, this little ribbon cable, this has the microphone looking thing on it. Here, if I tip it out here, you can see it has the little gold piece on it. So watch that, be careful. And what you can do is just from the back side, very carefully. I just have a tweezers here, but you can use something that's flat and skinny. Very carefully without tearing it, you want to get under and just pry under that. It's hard to show it in the camera, I apologize, but you basically just want to slide under it. Just has adhesive under it, and then it comes apart just like that. So next, what you will want to do, since this is a good screen, I'm not going to actually do it, but I'm going to show you what you need to do. Is this plastic ring right here for the front camera. You're going to need to carefully pop that out with like a tweezers or something like this, and make sure to position it in this screen, new screen, the same way. What I would recommend to do is put them side by side so you can see what you're doing. And then this other one for the camera piece speaker here, you're going to need that to be transferred over to the new screen as well, if your new screen doesn't have it. So anything in here that you think that your new screen doesn't have that this phone has, you're going to need to transfer it over. So next, for the home button, what you're going to need to do is just slide in under this. You can carefully pull up on this little tab sticking up if you want, and just slide under there and get the adhesive loose under there. And then what you're going to need to do, I'm not going to do it on this screen since this is a good screen, but what you can do is just carefully remove this rubber right here. You may have to replace it. Sometimes they're only good for one-time use. Sometimes I've been able to replace them. But what you're going to need to do is just, and you can push from the front side, push on the home button there, and kind of push as you get under it a little bit along the edge, and just make sure to peel it around. Then when you have your new one back in, your new screen, then just go ahead and put it right on that little peg that's right there, you can see, and just make sure that that's pushed down all the way. So to reinstall the microphone and camera and everything in the new assembly, just grab it, and you can go ahead and set this gold piece down first, and make sure that it's seated down properly into the spot where it goes, where that little peg is sticking up. Make sure the hole gets fastened on the peg there. You can kind of press down, and then just go ahead and make sure that you reposition those two things where they go. And then what we want to do is grab your earpiece speaker, set that in the right way so this little part sets down in the notch there. Excuse my hands, there's kind of a lot going on right here. You'll feel it kind of set down in when it's proper, at least seated, and then make sure the front camera is pushed down in where it goes. They make it kind of tricky to make sure everything's in the right place. Just take your time with it. Then next you will need to grab the shield here. Put it on there to hold everything in. So then just go ahead and put all three of those screws back in. Next we will grab this shield, set it down here, just line everything up. Go ahead and put your 6 little screws in on that side, and go ahead and refasten this down here as well. So next you can go ahead and set this plate down on here, and then you can put this screw, this screw, this screw, and this screw in up here. So to reinstall the screen, just grab the screen and just use your fingers or whatever you want to use. I'm going to use my fingers, hopefully you can see okay. And just start with the big connector and just kind of work your way down. The big connector of course goes first all the way towards the front, the top, and then the next one goes next in line. And then just do them kind of in order as they come down. And then this connector goes over there, and then this connector goes on the bottom. And you can feel once they all pop in securely. Then you grab your shield and set it right down on there. And go ahead and put your 5 screws back in. If it's a lot easier to put these screws back in, you can turn this screen carefully like this and start doing these outside ones. And then without turning it too far to get to the last ones, then you can, once that plate is pretty much where it won't move, then you can put the last ones in like that. So then next what you will want to do is just grab your screen, and there's little notches at the top here. Get those started in first. Then you can just start pressing your screen in till it's down all the way. And then lastly, put your 2 screws back in the bottom down here with the Torx screwdriver. And you're all set. Thanks for watching.